Ibuko was a quiet village tucked between green hills and red earth. People there live simple lives, growing cassava and yams, raising goats, and gathering every Sunday at the village square for prayers and gossip. But among all the noise and chatter, one name always brought a smile: Amora. At just 15 years old, Amora was the pride of the village school. She was tall and slim, with bright eyes full of questions and a mind faster than a river after the rains. Teachers called her the future doctor, and her classmates often whispered she will leave Ibuko and make it big one day. Every exam, every science fair, every debate, Amora won them all. But her heart remained humble. She still fetched water with her neighbors and helped her mother, Mama Nkechi, sell vegetables by the roadside after school. Mama Nkechi, a widow of 10 years, worked hard to provide for her only daughter. She never remarried and poured all her love and hopes into Amora. Education is your key, she often told her. Don't let the world lock you out. One Monday morning, a new teacher joined the village school. His name was Mr. Daimeji, young, polished, and charming. He spoke English like the people on the radio and had a degree in mathematics from a university in the city. The headmaster introduced him as the school's biggest blessing. Within weeks, students started scoring better in maths. Parents were pleased. The school's reputation began to shine brighter. Mr. Daimeji noticed Amora from the very first day. He often called her to solve the hardest equations on the board, smiling proudly when she got them right. You are special, Amora, he told her one day after class. You must not waste your talent. Amora felt proud but shy. No teacher had ever said that to her. A month later, the school announced that they were selecting one student for an after-school tutorial scholarship. Mr. Daimeji personally recommended Amora. Her brilliance deserves more, he told the school head. The offer came with 2 evening classes per week, held in Mr. Daimeji's home. Mama Nkechi hesitated when she heard the arrangement. In his house, she asked. Yes, Mama, Amora replied gently. It's close to the school, and it will only be twice a week. He's not married, is he? No, Mama. But he said his younger sister lives with him. I'll be fine. After a long sigh, Mama Nkechi agreed. Just be careful, Amora. And don't stay too long after lessons. Amora smiled. Yes, Mama. The first week of lessons went well. Mr. Daimeji was patient, funny, and very smart. He explained complicated topics in ways that made sense to Amora. He even gave her a new scientific calculator. For your future, he said with a wink. Thank you, sir, she replied, unsure of how to respond. Soon, Amora was topping every class. Other students started teasing her, saying she was the teacher's favorite. But she ignored them. All she wanted was to make her mother proud. One Thursday evening, as the sun melted into the hills, Amora packed her books and waved goodbye to her mother. Be safe, Mama Nkechi called out. I will. She walked toward Mr. Daimeji's house, her books held tight to her chest, not knowing that this path, so full of dreams, was about to twist into something much darker. The following weeks brought a new kind of routine into Amora's life. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she went straight from school to Mr. Daimeji's house for lessons. His home was neat and quiet, with a tidy living room filled with books, framed certificates, and the sweet smell of citrus air freshener. His younger sister, whom he'd mentioned, was never around, and when Amora once asked, he simply smiled. She stays with a cousin most times, he replied. You don't need to worry. At first, everything seemed normal. Mr. Daimeji would offer her cold malt drinks and meat pies before they began, saying, you need energy for maths. The lessons were effective. Amora was grasping concepts even senior students struggled with. Mr. Daimeji often praised her, saying she reminded him of the kind of girl who should be in the city, winning awards, not stuck in a dusty village. Sometimes, he complimented her looks too. "You're growing into a beautiful young lady," he said one evening, watching her too long after a lesson. Amora felt her cheeks burn and looked away. "Thank you, sir," she mumbled, unsure whether it was wrong to accept such a compliment from a teacher. The next week, he gave her a small necklace with a silver star pendant. "What's this for?" she asked, surprised. "A reward for brilliance," he said with a soft smile. "You're special, Amora. Don't forget that." Amora didn't tell her mother. She didn't know why. She began to feel a strange tightness in her chest, both proud of the attention and deeply unsure about it. Mr. Daimeji had not done anything bad, she reasoned. He was just kind, and maybe this was how people in the city treated their students. One afternoon, it rained so heavily that most of the students had already gone home. Amora remained back to help the principal sort books. By the time she finished, the school compound was empty. She rushed toward Mr. Daimeji's house, her bag over her head to shield her from the rain. When she arrived, soaked to the bone, Mr. Daimeji looked shocked. "You're drenched," he said. "Why didn't you wait the rain out?" "I didn't want to be late," Amora replied. He handed her a towel and a big t-shirt. "Go dry off in the bathroom. Leave your clothes to dry in the kitchen. I'll make tea." Amora hesitated. This was different. Too personal. But she didn't want to be rude. She took the towel and went to clean up. When she returned to the living room, wrapped in the oversized shirt, Mr. Daimeji placed a mug of hot tea before her and sat unusually close. "You're really something, Amora. Not many girls have your kind of drive," he said, his hand slowly moving to her shoulder. Amora tensed, her eyes wide. "Sir, the lesson?" she asked, shifting slightly away. He chuckled and stood up. Yes. The lesson. Let me bring the book." That night, the walk home felt colder than usual, despite the tea and the now clear skies. Something inside her had changed. She couldn't name it yet, but it made her hold her books tighter to her chest and glance back every few steps. At dinner, Mom Nkechi asked how the lesson went. Amora smiled faintly and said, it was fine. But her voice had lost its usual brightness. She didn't know that what had started as simple extra lessons was slowly becoming a trap, one that would soon be impossible to escape. Days turned into weeks, and Amora tried to convince herself that everything was still normal. But her spirit knew otherwise. Something about the way Mr. Daimeji now looked at her, the way his hand would linger too long when passing her a pen, the way he asked her questions that had nothing to do with mathematics, it all made her feel uneasy. She became quieter at home. Her laughter faded. She stopped singing while doing chores and rarely looked her mother in the eye. "Amora, are you okay?" Mom Nkechi asked one night as they ate boiled yam and sauce. "I'm just tired, Mama," she answered, forcing a smile. "The schoolwork is a lot." Mom Nkechi sighed. "You know you can always talk to me. I'm your mother, Amora." Amora nodded, but her lips stayed sealed. She didn't want to worry her mother. And besides, what would she even say? That her teacher had been acting strange. That he gave her gifts and touched her arm too long. It would sound like she was being ungrateful or worse, that she was making it up. But things got harder to hide. Amora began throwing up in the mornings. First once, then twice, then every other day. At school, her friends noticed. Her best friend, Ada, pulled her aside one afternoon. "Amora, you look pale. Are you sick?" "I'm just stressed." "Maybe malaria," she whispered, eyes down. "You should go to the clinic." "I'll be fine," Amora said quickly, avoiding more questions. But Ada wasn't convinced. She went to tell the school nurse. That Friday, Amora was called into the small clinic behind the school building. The nurse, Auntie Ronk, a middle-aged woman with firm eyes and a motherly tone, greeted her. "Sit down, Amora. Your friend is worried about you. You've been throwing up." Amora nodded slowly. "Are you eating well?" "I think so." "When was your last period?" That question made Amora freeze. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Auntie Ronk leaned forward. "Amora, don't be afraid. This is a safe space." Tears filled Amora's eyes. She hadn't even noticed that her monthly bleeding hadn't come. She'd been too distracted with everything else, her confusion, her shame, her silence. The nurse handed her a test kit. "Go to the restroom and use this. Then bring it back." Amora obeyed, her hands trembling. A few minutes later, the results stared back at both of them, positive. The world around Amora spun. Her knees felt weak, and she gripped the edge of the chair. "Amora," Auntie Ronk said gently, "you're pregnant." No, it's not possible," Amora whispered. "It can't be." The nurse stood up and walked around to hold her shoulders. "I know this is hard. But we must talk. Do you know who?" Before she could finish, the door opened. The school principal, Mr. Okafor, stepped in. He had already been informed. "What am I hearing?" he said sternly. "A child, my best student, is pregnant." "Amora, who did this to you?" Amora wiped her tears and looked down at her feet. "Answer me, Amora. Who is responsible?" She looked up slowly, her lips quivering. Her eyes shifted toward the door, then toward the principal, and then she whispered something so faint that Mr. Okafor had to lean in. Her lips moved, but no one could hear the words clearly. "Amora, speak up." She turned her head to the side, and her eyes locked on the picture frame of the school staff. There, among the teachers, was the smiling face of Mr. Daimeji. She couldn't say it. Not yet. The fear, the shame, the threats, they held her tongue like chains. And so, Amora remained silent, but her belly had already started to speak. By the next morning, the entire village had heard the news. "Amora. Pregnant. No, not that girl. Not the bright one. She must have been going to the city behind her mother's back. Maybe one of the boys from school. Or someone older." The rumor spread like wildfire. In the market, at the water well, and even during morning prayers, everyone had something to say, yet no one knew the truth. Except Amora. And Mr. Daimeji. She stayed home from school that Monday. Mom and Kechi cried in silence while shelling groundnuts. She hadn't said much to Amora since the principal visited and confirmed the pregnancy. That evening, while Amora sat on the front steps, a shadow fell across the gate. "Amora," said a soft, familiar voice. She looked up. It was Mr. Daimeji. He wore a clean white shirt, holding a small black nylon bag. "I brought you vitamins," he said with a smile. "You'll need them now." Amora stood up slowly, confusion and fear dancing in her eyes. "Why are you here?" "To make sure you're okay," he said, stepping closer. "You haven't told anyone, right?" "I haven't," she whispered. "Good," he said, his smile fading into a serious tone. "And you won't?" Amora's heart began to beat faster. "I have something to show you," he said, reaching into his bag. He pulled out a small camera and a memory card. "Do you remember the day I told you to bring a book from my room?" She nodded. "I recorded that day. Everything." Amora took a step back. "Why would you?" "Because I knew you might try to ruin me," he interrupted, his voice sharp now. "But let me be clear, I edited the video. In it, you look like the one who came to seduce me." Tears welled up in Amora's eyes. "You're lying." "You can believe what you want," he said coldly. "But if you ever breathe a word, if anyone finds out it was me, I will send that video to everyone." Your classmates. The school staff. Even the church group your mother attends. You can't. Oh, I can. And I will. He leaned in, whispering so close she could smell his peppermint breath. You've already disappointed your mother. Let's not make it worse. Amora stood frozen. Her voice wouldn't come. Her body shook, but she didn't cry, not yet. She just watched him walk away, his footsteps slow and confident like nothing had ever happened. The next morning, Amora returned to school. People stared. Some whispered. Some avoided her entirely. Her best friend Ede tried to ask questions, but Amora only offered a weak smile and said she was fine. But she wasn't. She felt alone, trapped, and drowning in silence. That afternoon, after school, Amora sat under the big mango tree by the fence. She used to read there. But this time, she didn't hold a book. She just sat, her hand resting on her stomach, and whispered, I didn't ask for this. Child. She turned and saw an elderly woman in a faded wrapper and headscarf. It was Mama F, the old retired midwife who now ran a small herbal shop at the edge of the village. I heard about you, Mama F said gently. But I see more than others see. Amora blinked back tears. You don't know anything. I know pain, Mama F said. And I know when a girl is carrying a secret too heavy for her age. Amora lowered her head. You don't have to carry it alone, the old woman added. For the first time in weeks, Amora let her tears fall freely. Mama F sat quietly beside Amora under the mango tree. She didn't ask more questions. She didn't rush the moment. She simply offered her presence like shade on a hot afternoon. Amora wiped her face with the edge of her sleeve, her breath shaky. They all think I'm wicked, even my mother. Mama F placed a gentle hand on her back. You are not wicked, child. You are wounded. And wounds must be cleaned before they become rotten. Amora looked up, eyes filled with pain. I want to talk, but I'm afraid. Talk anyway, the old woman whispered. The silence is already hurting you. The words sat between them, heavy like thunderclouds. Then, slowly, Amora opened her heart. It was Mr. Daimeji, she whispered, voice trembling. My maths teacher. Mama F didn't react with shock. She only nodded once, listening carefully. He was always nice at first, Amora continued. He gave me food, praised me, made me feel smart. Then, one day after lesson, he locked the door. Her voice cracked. He said nobody would believe me. And that he has a video to shame me if I talk. Mama F's eyes darkened, but her voice stayed calm. That man is a serpent. And serpents must not be left to bite again. I don't want anyone to see that video, Amora said, panicking. Please, Mama. I can't face it if it comes out. Mama F held her hand. You will not face it alone. But this pain must not stay hidden. We will bring him into the light. Later that evening, Mama F visited Mama Nechi's house. Mama Amora, she said gently, your daughter is carrying a truth she buried too long. And you must help her dig it out. Amora sat silently nearby, head bowed. At first, Mama Nkechi didn't understand. What truth? Then Amora looked her mother in the eyes for the first time in weeks and said it loud and clear, Mama, it was my teacher. Mr. Daimeji. He's the one. Mama Nkechi froze, her lips parting in disbelief. What? Amora burst into tears. I didn't know how to tell you, he scared me. He said he would ruin me. Mama Nkechi dropped to the ground, hands on her head. My God, my daughter. I'm sorry, Amora cried. I didn't want this to happen. I tried to be strong. Mama Nkechi reached forward and wrapped her daughter in a long, shaking hug. No, my child. You did nothing wrong. You are not to blame. That night, Mama Nkechi and Mama F sat under the stars, planning what to do. "We must go to the school board," Mama F said. "And the village council. We'll need to be strong, this will shake the whole community. They'll ask for proof," Mama Nkechi whispered. "I will handle that," Mama F replied. "But first, we must protect the girl." The next day, Amora didn't go to school. Instead, Mama F went herself to the school principal. "Mr. Okafor," she said sternly. "There is more to this story than you know." Mr. Okafor narrowed his eyes. "What are you talking about?" "It wasn't a village boy. It was your teacher, Mr. Dameji." "Silence. You better be very sure of what you're saying, Mama F." "I'm not only sure," she replied. "I came with truth, and soon, you will see it yourself." She handed him a small recording device. He threatened her. "I tricked him into talking. Listen to it." Mr. Okafor played the recording and sat frozen as he heard Mr. Dameji's own voice, bragging, threatening, laughing. By the end of the tape, his hands were trembling. He stood up. "Call the council. Call the police. This man must answer for what he did." And that was the beginning of justice. The next morning, the sun rose over Ebuko with an unusual silence, as if even the birds knew something heavy was in the air. By midday, the village square was filled with whispers and curious eyes. The school had called an emergency meeting. Teachers, students, parents, and elders gathered beneath the large baobab tree, where the village council often sat to resolve disputes. At the center stood Principal Okafor, holding a file in one hand and a deep frown on his face. To his right sat Mama F, calm but firm. On his left was Amora, sitting beside her mother, her head high for the first time in weeks. Her eyes no longer carried shame, only strength. And beside them, standing uncomfortably, was Mr. Dameji. He looked nothing like the confident teacher everyone once admired. His shirt was wrinkled, his hands sweaty, and his smile forced. Principal Okafor stepped forward. "We are here today not because of rumor, but because of truth," he began. "One of our own, a child of Ebuko, has come forward with a heavy story. One that demands our ears and our courage." He turned to the crowd. "Amora, do you wish to speak?" The crowd fell silent. Amora stood slowly. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. "I was ashamed," she began, "and scared. I thought no one would believe me. I thought if I told the truth, I would be blamed. But I've learned, silence only protects the wrong person." She looked directly at Mr. Dameji. "This man, this teacher, used his power to harm me. He made me trust him, then he took advantage of that trust. He said if I told anyone, he would shame me in front of the whole world." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "But I am not the one who should be ashamed," Amara said, voice growing stronger. "He is." Mr. Dameji laughed nervously. "This is madness. She's lying. There's no proof." Principal Okafor raised his hand. "There is." He turned and played the recording Mama F had captured. The words echoed through the speakers. "If you say a word, I release the video. You'll be the one disgraced." The crowd shifted, murmurs growing louder. A member of the school board stood up. "That's his voice. Clear as daylight." Mr. Dameji's face fell. "That could be edited. That's not proof of anything." Another elder spoke. "And what about the video you threatened her with? Is that not shameful enough?" Mama Nkechi stood now. Her voice was like thunder. "My daughter is not a liar. She is a victim. But she will not remain one." The police officer from the local town, already summoned by the principal, stepped forward. "Mr. Dameji, based on the evidence presented and the confession gathered, you are under arrest for the assault and abuse of a minor." Handcuffs clicked around his wrist. "No. You don't understand," he cried, struggling as officers led him away. But no one came to his defense. Not even the teachers who once praised his brilliance. The village square remained quiet as he disappeared into the back of a police truck. After a long pause, Principal Okafor turned to the crowd. "Let this be a lesson. Power must never be used to hurt the ones we are meant to protect." Cheers broke out. Some wept. Some prayed. Others walked up to Amora and hugged her. "You are brave, my daughter," one woman whispered. "You saved others by speaking up," said another. Mama F smiled and placed her hand on Amora's shoulder. "Truth is like the wind. It may be silent at first, but when it rises, no wall can stop it." Amora looked up at the sky. For the first time in months, she felt free. The rains came early that year in Ebuko, as if the skies wanted to wash away the pain of the past months. With Mr. Daimeji behind bars and justice taking its course, the village returned to a quiet rhythm. But for Amora, nothing would ever be the same. She stayed home for 2 more weeks, recovering not just in body, but in spirit. Mama Nkechi never left her side. Every evening, they sat together on the veranda, holding hands and watching the sun dip behind the hills. One evening, Mama Nkechi whispered, "You've gone through fire, my child, but you came out gold." Amora smiled. "Because you stood beside me." Soon, the school reached out. Principal Okafor personally visited their home with flowers and a new school uniform. "Amora," he said, "we would be honored to have you back. You don't owe us anything, but we owe you support." Amora agreed, not because she wanted things to return to normal, but because she was ready to write a new story. When she walked into class on her first day back, her classmates rose to their feet and clapped. Even those who once whispered behind her back now looked at her with admiration. Her best friend Ada hugged her so tightly, she almost cried. The school created a new rule: no private lessons would ever be conducted at a teacher's home again. And, under Mama F's guidance, a monthly Girls Speak Club was formed, where female students could talk openly about safety, boundaries, and dreams. Amora was asked to lead it. At first, she hesitated. "What if I'm not strong enough?" Mama F, sitting on her porch with her walking stick, chuckled. "Child, strength is not how loud you shout. It's how far your voice carries when others are too afraid to speak." Amora nodded. "Then I'll speak for those who can't." At the first meeting of the club, girls gathered under the mango tree where Amora once cried alone. Now, she stood there, bold, tall, and proud. She cleared her throat. "My name is Amora," she began, "and I was once too scared to tell the truth. But when I did, I learned something powerful: shame belongs to those who do wrong, not to those who survive it." The girls clapped, some with tears in their eyes. Weeks passed. Amora kept studying, attending prenatal health classes, and growing stronger. Joy returned to her steps, even with her growing belly. When it came time for final exams, Amora insisted on writing them. Principal Okafor tried to gently suggest she rest, but she replied with a smile, "Sir, I've already rested too long. I have a future to catch." She passed with flying colors, top of her class. Months later, the whole village gathered under the same baobab tree again, but this time, to celebrate. A large canopy was raised, drums played, and food passed freely. Amora had delivered a healthy baby boy. She named him Kizoram, meaning "God answered me." People danced. Mama Nkechi held her grandson with joy that spilled from her eyes. Mama F watched from her chair, whispering prayers under her breath. When Amora stepped forward to speak, holding her baby on her hip, she said, "This is not the end of my story. It is only the beginning. I will still become a doctor. I will still make Ibuko proud. And I will raise my son to be a man who protects, not harms." The crowd roared with applause. From that day on, Amara was no longer just a brilliant girl. She was a symbol of hope, of courage, and of a future where silence no longer wins.